And what exists in between is where we intervene under regulatory and legal frameworks. We can have this governance framework, but also, as he mentioned, the use cases, the key enablers, where we try to understand what are the existing standards, where governments are, the government performance are ranking, where we are among, like when we speak about legislation and regulation. And this is where I think there is this back and forth looking at the emergent technologies, the progress, the implementation on the ground. What are the existing, let's say, the cloud center, the data center, but what government and member states should provide as an environment, an enabling environment to implement, and also for the private sector, like the access to market, the licensing, the procedure for that. And I think to approach this, governments are, it's interesting to actually to maintain this circle and not like to maintain this trilogy of having government, private sector, institution, and regulator, and not only leaving like, okay.
It is an open innovation ecosystem, yeah.
Yes. So the 5G, IoT technologies is good, but to implement it, we need to go side by side, and not only like having this technological burst and innovation ecosystem if we don't have the existing background and create the environment and the ecosystem and the regulation and the governance that goes with it. That means we will not be able to build the sustainable, transparent, or intelligent infrastructure that we aim. And I think for this, I can mention some cases for today, but not too long. For example, if I look to some of the emergent and innovative cases of the AI bill and the process of building the AI Act, there are lots of lessons learned to look at, like the way how this regulatory sandbox allowed the private sector to intervene, experiment, and build on the backyard, let's say at the coulisses, and think and give the space to think what kind of regulation we need. What doesn't mean that we don't intervene without standard, but standards are there. But it leaves the space for government and institution to think about what is the institution that should look at, what is its mandate, how they would be working on it. And I think taking the case of AI Act in Egypt is a relevant case that I can maybe later share more elements on it, but I prefer to stop and pass maybe to Nvidia.
Thank you, Ms. Iman. No, that's good. By the way, she reminded me an approach that we are working on, in the consulting ecosystem. You are all the time developing frameworks, how to structure things and how to develop. So I remind something that is called learn, test, prototype, and implement. Here, I guess you have an inversion of role. So we have test and learn. So it is not learn and test. So you test the technology, you observe, you see what can give, and later on, you make the regulation or the right context of this. So yeah, you cannot, yeah.
Like, I know when we look to the government side and the regulator side, we think that we are a bit compelled to regulate as if it's an emergency or a stress to do create a regulation. While I think regulation can compromise actually innovation for sure, especially in an ongoing and fast-growing environment of emergent technologies. But I think we can think about the space where we can maintain ethics, standard, and guardrails while being able to test, as you say, test, learn, adapt, test, learn, regulate, maybe.
That's why most of the time we start with the private sector, because it gives it is more agile. It gives a better point of view because it is business driven. So yeah, and later on it can come to governments. It depends on the region. Some benchmarks can show the contrary case. It starts with the government, but looks good as approach. So now we move on with Mr. Naufel, I guess. Mr. Naufel is the IT director from Ooredoo. So by the way, Ooredoo, I think, just celebrated partnership with NVIDIA and make the requirement of the last GPU technology to be installed in their data center. So if you can give us more insight about this, and behind, I'm sure there is strategy of adoption of the intelligent infrastructure and related things.
Okay, thank you, Mansuf. So at Ooredoo, we started already since long time our journey from being a telco operator toward being a telco operator and providing all digital services like ICT. Recently, through a partnership with NVIDIA, we acquired high-end GPUs H200 in order to enrich our product portfolio for B2B customers. So through this partnership, we are willing to offer GPU as a service and different other AI service model like AI as a service, turnkey AI solution. We are working actively as well to build and reinforce our IoT platform and launch NB IoT, narrowband IoT, and combining IoT with AI, we will be able to launch all AI all in one box. So it is like a sandbox AI solution. For example, smart agriculture. What else? Uh, in parallel, we are already embracing AI for internal use. So we will launch soon Q1 2025, 2026 AI, agentic AI for customer care. So it will be fully automated customer care in order to provide better customer experience and innovative customer experience for our customers.
Yeah, thank you. No, Iman is laughing. Perhaps she will ask for the jobs that will later on be a big issue. But we will come out later to this. Perhaps at which extent AI can boost business, and is there any foot of development for creating new jobs, new profiling, and perhaps migrating classic profiles like old person. But we can see this later. So thank you, Naufel, for the introduction of the context of adoption of NVIDIA new technology for Ooredoo. By the way, Naufel now just talked about some use cases of AI in the ecosystem of operator. You know, there is customer journey management, customer services, network management improvement, many things that are I'm being ex-colleague of Naufel years ago. So I know how things are in the industry of telecom. It is the most complicated thing. And running all the business into telecom operator is very complicated, very tough, and perhaps usage of AI can bring some solution in the day-to-day work of the teams. So now moving in the same way, the question is to Rashid. So Rashid is IT architect and he's NVIDIA ambassador here with us. So Rashid, it will be a point somehow little bit technical. So Rashid, what type of hardware or architecture are recommended or are used actually in the, let's say, emergent infrastructure or intelligent infrastructure, if you can say AI-based?
So before addressing your question, and I promise I will not make it too technical, I just want to react to some of the points that have been cited. First of them, we also believe in this approach of AI on network and AI for network. So we invested and we announced recently a partnership with Nokia, where we embed a platform that will be deployed on the edge and that will improve the network quality, at the same time serve inference for edge models. Second point that was addressed, and it's the first element when you ask about how to build the AI infrastructure and an AI factory, is an element that has also been cited, is the talent, is the knowledge, is the education, and NVIDIA is heavily investing in Africa to upskill the talent pool. We have a strong partnership with Innovation City toward that goal. We committed to, or we announced that we'll train 100,000 developers across Africa, and Innovation City, as well as our other partners in Africa, play an essential role in achieving that goal. So getting back to the question, what is an AI factory first? We've been discussing this good part of the day. It's a facility where you put data, where you put electricity, and you produce intelligence. Intelligence in the form of tokens. Everybody thinks about chatbots, but tokens can be text, but can also be images, videos, decision, strategies, etc. So it's not only chatbots. And the main use case I work on is related to healthcare use cases, where we train models to understand the genome, for example. So there are its sequences of bases, and we can detect illnesses based on that, or mutation, etc. So this is the basic idea about AI factories. Now the question becomes, why do we need them? And we've been discussing this also throughout the day, like it's a sovereignty purpose. Like no country or no continent can rely completely on foreign intelligence and can export all its data to foreign infrastructure. So there were many discussions about that today. Last point is how to build it and what are the main components. And we talked about the hardware backbone. We mentioned cooling, for example. It's cooling, it's power, it's mechanical in the center itself. For that, we need people, as I said, talent to build, but also to exploit the data center and to leverage its capabilities. Second point is the compute part, the GPU, the DPU, the CPU that need to be tightly integrated. Third pillar in this infrastructure is the networking part. So when we train model, you need to exchange at a very high data rate. And when you serve model for inference, you need very low latency. And the networking plays an important role on that. And then last part that is most of the time overlooked. Like we talk about the peak performance of a system, but we cannot achieve a good ROI on a system without the software stack. So the software stack is for orchestration, monitoring, but also all the bricks, all the layers that will be used to build the application. And at NVIDIA, with our partners, we cover all those elements, and we provide like accelerated, integrated solution that shape the form of the AI.
Thank you, Rashid. It was good. You have make the checklist of all requirement. What is very funny here is that Rashid is talking about something that we know. So you have to put in place facilities like power, infrastructure, everything. You have to put in place capability, human capability, competencies. So it is always the same framework that we have to run, but it will differentiate what is the competency to put in place, what is the upskilling that people have to have, what is the specific things you have to ensure as facilities for power, for air conditioning, for you can say that it is not how to say, it is not permitted to have service out. It is 0%. We are no more talking about 99.9999. So I guess that we are in the same circle of enabling technology, but always the question is how, and what is the specificity of each technology. You want to add something?
So Yeah, maybe compared to classical data center, what is the difference between AI factory? You said it's the same element. It's the same element, but they must be like tightly integrated. They must work all very good together, and they need to support AI workloads and AI frameworks. And it changes everything. Like now, we need GPUs to like GPUs are the best, or accelerated computing generally the best approach to tackle AI, to train models, and also to do inference. So GPUs come very highly integrated, a very dense infrastructure. When you say dense infrastructure, it means you need more cooling. So we move from air cooling to liquid cooling. You need a different type of also power supply. Like if we take the latest announced infrastructure from NVIDIA based on Rubin technology, if we use the classical power supply technique that is available in classical data center, we'll need one rack of compute and one rack of power supply. And it's a huge amount of copper. So we need to reinvent that as well. We need to reinvent, and NVIDIA with Schneider, with other partners, with Vertiv, for example, we invented a new way to serve power in the data center of the AI factory of the future. The frameworks, the software stack, the competency, it's all different. Like it's a new type of facility. It's not the same.
Specific, yeah.
I wanted to add that at Ooredoo are exploring to build a new tier 4 data center, especially with our new connectivity that we have, submarine cables. So we'll be able to build tier 4 data center to attract hyperscaler and to have data center fully ready to embrace AI super calculator and GPUs.
Okay, by the same occasion, I will jump on your next question. It will be there. It will be for the launch. After, as we know, Tunisia, we make the prestigious launch of 5G. So this is a good thing. Operators are challenged to bring new services, improved services on data usage. And in that way, how can 5G perspective can supporting the IoT development services? Because in 4G and perhaps even in 2G or 3G, it was very limited for low consumption application. With 5G, I guess things are a little bit better. You know, the zero latency, something like that. And how can 5G benefits mixed with IoT and AI, of course, boosting business and, of course, usage of IoT?
So, question for me.
You just talk about the fiber cable.
Yeah, okay. So I will handle this question. Okay. So with 5G, we can especially standalone.
Yeah.
Okay, with 5G, especially standalone architecture, will be able to launch, let's say, and many services ultra reliable and low latency. So like autonomous cars. So I think 5G will generate huge data, and the only way to process the data is to embrace AI and build some use cases for. So combining AI with 5G will be a must. And as I said before, so NB-IoT as well will be very good opportunity to launch many other services correlated with AI and to offer turnkey solution for some verticals.
Okay, thank you. So with the now, yeah, we can proceed in the same way.
I will add. I will add on this the idea to have infrastructure in Tunisia.
Okay.
Maybe I will speak a little bit more in Tunisia, but it could be the same use case in Africa otherwise. So what we know that for AI use cases, we need new infrastructure. This is what was already said. building new data center, building a new data center that use more and more energy, multiplication by the 10 of energy, more another type of cooling, etc., etc. So what we see now is that all around the world there is a huge demand of data center. So in Europe there is a huge demand on a new data center for only for AI needs. In US also, and also in all the region, also here in Africa. So I think that this is in the part of infrastructure part is a good opportunity for Tunisia to implement data centers for AI. This is what Ooredoo did, what Ooredoo is already doing, but I think that there is a lot of initiatives in Tunisia that are thinking of implementing data center in Tunisia that will not serve the need of the Tunisia, but that will serve the need of the region in Africa and also Europe, because as you already said, we have the old already infrastructure, the fiber, and also new one that will reconnect us from Bizerte to Marseille directly with a huge, I think, we are speaking about 25 terabytes of bandwidth. And this will provide us a data center like it was in Europe. So this will respond to the requirement of latency, of jitter, of bandwidth needed for training of AI, for also inference, and we can make the data in Europe. If there is some requirement for GDPR, for regulation, for AI Act, etc., data, it can stay in Europe, but the calculation in Tunisia. I think this is a big use case in which we will work, the investor will work, also politics should work on it to encourage and to enforce and to help investor to invest more in infrastructure. There is just a point, because as we already say, that data center need a lot of energy, the consumption of energy, and all the big issue of green IT, etc. And we have sun. We can implement the photovoltaic. There is a lot of project implementing photovoltaic. So this data center could be also using the energy that was generated and that is generated by a photovoltaic that will be also in Tunisia. So I think that in this part, in the infrastructure part, with the 5G, with the bandwidth we have, with also the competency, the talent we have in Tunisia, there is a huge opportunity to invest and to implement in this area.
Just to add a few words to make this discussion
No,
more
you are
general.
stealing the mic.
No, to make the discussion more general to Africa, there is 56 new data centers to be built in Africa by 2026. Most of them will be tier 4 data center. So there is some challenges for sure about grid cuts in Africa, and so I think we need to focus more on solar energy and renewable energy to be able to absorb huge power consumption by AI services.
Yeah, especially with the green IT approach that is adapted in Europe, and of course we are on the back. So just I want to come back to Mr. Kenishi. So as GSMI, we talked at the beginning network for AI and AI for networks. This is a good approach. I like it very much. And so what is the point here? Should operators, telecom operator are no more classic service provider. You give connectivity and that's all. We are talking about beyond connectivity. And for the approach of connectivity, they are starting to become service provider aggregator. Okay, so the question is, should they be AI enabler to be aligned in the same strategy, or should they be AI service provider, or it can be the both? So I don't know if there is any strategic approach on this. How can GSMI look into this point?
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I think what we're seeing is that it's a mixture of both approaches. Um, the lessons operators learned in the OTT era, is still very, very much in their minds. 20 years ago, when OTT players, started coming on the space, 20, 25 years ago, the WhatsApps of this world, the Facebooks, a similar question was asked. Should operators just provide connectivity, or should they provide services beyond connectivity, video, social networking, and the rest? As at that time, the general trend was, yeah, we're still making a lot of money from connectivity. Let's just provide connectivity, and that is it. But what we have seen from then, from the mid 2000s up until today, is the market value of mobile operators has gone this way, and the market value of the OTT players have gone that way. So that lesson has been learned by the industry. Now we're entering into the AI era, and the question again is, should they just be enablers, or should they play a more critical role in those services? And I think what we're seeing is that, at least for the big telcos globally, they want to be right in there providing the services. Of course, as I said earlier on, there are still issues around, talent, capital requirements, and the rest. But what we're now seeing, which I think it's a good strategy, is that operators are now beginning to build partnerships with those aggregators and those tech companies that have the skills, that have the capabilities, that have the capital to develop those services. So they're going into collaboration, they're going into partnerships with them to develop the services, but then they also have a very important role to play, in the sense that those services will be used by individuals who are their customers. So they already have the relationship with the customers. So it only makes sense for them working in collaboration, working in partnerships with those tech companies, developing those solutions, and then becoming a distribution channel to extend those AI services to the end users, to the customers. So generally, operators are moving in the direction of, having AI services as part of their portfolio, oftentimes in collaboration, with AI specialists. But we still have a few who are still not sure, and for now they're playing the enablement game. But if we remember what happened in the OTT era, it could very well happen in the AI era if operators are not fully on board with, carving out for themselves a larger share of the pie.
Yeah, thank you. This is, by the way, very important point, and very strategic. I guess that MNOs, telecom operator, learned the lessons. And they can't run the show and being in the other side. They have to take part on the show in order to keep their business alive, because business is very changing. Doing partnerships, doing B2B2C services is better than doing a B2C or B2B only. So they have to be closer to the customer end user, because it is, I guess, one of the things, from my point of view, of course, one of the things that will keep the telecom operator business alive and in continuous improvement. Okay, so Ms. Yemen, you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to add something to this relevant questions raised about actually sustainable and resilient digital infrastructure, something that we also look at, and it's an ongoing discussion even within the UN now, the idea of sustainable AI-driven data center, something that we look how we create this key enabler and how governments we actually focus on the government maturity and the readiness for institutions and to host and to be able to do sustainable AI or resilient infrastructure. By resilient, thank you for mentioning GDPR. We need regional strategies. The African Union, actually, we have like a digital, we have data, some strategies, not standards, but for cybersecurity, the Malabo agreement, we're pushing, we're trying to work with government. We provide and also capacity building for government and institutions to work on how to adapt, how to implement and how to implement certain standard needs, certifications. And for this, I think there is, as you mentioned, it's not a one-man show. It's not a standalone. It's an agglomeration of B2C, but also GB2C, maybe government, business, and custom, GB2C. And this is something that we see, I think it should be work, the receptacle, maybe government should provide this and be present among this conversation. I think the idea, speaking about sustainability, there are lots of also unsaid and blurry question about how we should do this AI farms. There are also a lack of governments are a bit afraid sometimes to implement like heavy, when you speak about high computing facilities. And
We are afraid from what we don't know.
we don't know actually.
It is human.
And I think that's the right opportunity today. I'm happy that we have this conversation and having this outstanding panel and bringing these profiles together. Actually, this kind of conversation should happen often.
Just a point I need, and I thank you very much, Iman. Regarding the G2B, I like the idea G2B, but also G2G in AI, because what we are seeing also, because here in Africa, there is some country, sometimes there is not the political will, sometimes there is also an investment issues. There is no also the dynamic, the needed dynamic to implement infrastructure dedicated for AI. And I think in Africa, what we need like a little bit like in Europe. In Europe, there is GDPR, there is European Union, and they work together and they authorize the exchange of data and using data center within Europe. What we need also, we need like this here in Africa, in a region, and also between also the countries. So there is some initiatives that was done by, I think by you and by World Bank, etc., to look on some ideas to have some use case for AI to implement within multi-cloud, to have some use case. So in a region, there is the same needs, the same also kind of needs, also population, etc., and to build it in a data center locally to have the data, the critical data locally in the region, and to use also multi-cloud for some data that are not maybe subject to regulation and also the confidentiality. So there is also, when we cannot invest in infrastructure, when there is not the baseline for the infrastructure, it's not the case in Tunisia, but it's the case in other countries, also in Africa. We should think regionally, and we should think how to enforce the partnership G2G in this part, and also to have a regulation dedicated in Africa or in some region like EI Act, to have our own EI Act because yes, there is sovereignty issues, there is cybersecurity issues, there is also personal information, etc. But if we don't make the steps, if we don't regulate and help enforcing the development, what it will be done and what is it's done now is that all the information are in ChatGPT, in Facebook, in other platforms that are not even in Africa. So we need to work to have our own regulation and to enforce also the collaboration between countries on this part. Yeah.
Thank you, Dia. I'm quite happy for this enlarger conversation. What I can bring here, because the event moderation team said that there is only 2 minutes to finish it. Here, I want to say that previously we talked about the worldwide programs of digital inclusion. So now I guess we will start to talk about AI inclusion. And this will be the thematic of coming years. I don't know, it will be for 10 or 20 years. AI itself is speeding up the evolution of technology. What I can retain here in my mind from Rashid is that there is pillars and requirements that we have to work on. Perhaps they seems to be the same requirement of previous technology, but they are more specific for AI, as technology. From what Naufal said from mobile network operator, is that there is opportunity to offer the AI services and the GPU as a service is a new service and can be beneficial for small ecosystem like startups and others to develop their own product. VA moved on to talk about the Africa ecosystem. There is some countries that are still stuck in the classic IT infrastructure, and the AI development need a new infrastructure. We can't upgrade the old one. So there is here full program to be put in place. My friend Kenichi said that AI for connectivity and connectivity for AI. This is very good and very important. For sure, there is many programs that have to be put in place that are covering the service provider, the strategic level, and also the final user, the customer, how it can be its position in all of this, and how governments of neighbor countries will deal with this thematic. So 5G, IoT, and AI factories, how we are building the intelligent African ecosystem. I guess, as Iman said, we need additional sessions, and we have to speed up because AI is growing quickly. So thank you for all the intervened, and hope to see you for next session. خلك ما عادش وقت الأسئلة. شكرا عليك. نقعد